Did you know that in 2012, in the Trafficking in Persons report, there was an estimate of 4.5 million victims of sex slavery at any time? 98% are women and children. 1.2 million are children trafficked each year, and I work with these women and children who are sold into commercial sexual exploitation. The global annual profit from trafficking is an estimated $32 billion a year, and it's third after drugs and after weapons. So as you can imagine, as a social activist and as a therapist helping these women to recover from trauma, helping them to rebuild their lives, I've often felt like my efforts are a little bit similar to swimming upstream. And swimming upstream is exhausting and it is overwhelming, and I've often thought to myself, how can one person or a group of people change a $32 billion industry? However, despite that, through my 10 years of working in what I do, I really believe that change is always possible despite any circumstance, and I'm here to share with you why. Now, I arrived in Cambodia in 2004, and it was 7 years after the war had ended. And for the first time in my life, I saw how war had destroyed a country. I saw the imbalance of power. I saw the desperation in people's eyes. I saw poverty. I saw the struggle of survival. I saw many things. I saw people dying from HIV/AIDS in villages, and kids as young as 6 or 7 years old begging for money on the street so that they could buy their next hit of glue or drugs or food or water. But what really kind of broke my heart open was that in the place where I was staying as a tourist, there were about 10 families that were homeless and they were staying on the street. And night after night, I would see mothers prostitute their daughters, for some as young as 11 or 12 years old, on the street to tourists for as little as $3 or $4. And out of my curiosity, I would go and engage with these mothers and these daughters, and I remember seeing and looking into their eyes and connecting with their power, the sense of powerlessness and hopelessness, like these children had been lost and had fallen down the cracks, and society had forgotten about that. In that instance, when my heart was breaking open, I realized that really, at the end of the day, I had two choices. The first choice was to allow myself maybe to feel a little bit sad, knowing that in a day or two, I would leave Cambodia and those kind of feelings would fade into a distance, and essentially I would just ignore the fact that I had seen and experienced that. The second choice that I had was to allow my heart and my curiosity to kind of move me into action, to move me into doing something, whatever little that I could do for these girls, to just do it. So as you can imagine, I actually chose the second choice, and I stayed in Cambodia. I cancelled the rest of my round-the-world trip. I was going to Africa and then South America to study music and dance. I decided to cancel that, and I stayed in Cambodia and Asia for the next almost a decade, and I set up the Art to Healing project. Now,
but like after learning from Art to Healing, we are more victim-centered now. We try to understand and we try to see what they really need and what they are feeling. And so focused on their rights, focused on their need, and focused on their necessary, we developed our plan and we act on that way. We put them as our core objective to change their life.
यो ट्रेनिङबाट चाहिँ एकदमै सिकेको भिन्न कुरा भन्दा चाहिँ यसमा चाहिँ एकदमै आफूले पनि महसुस गर्नुपर्ने रहेछ, महसुस हुँदो रहेछ र एकदमै आफै आफ हिलिङ पनि हुँदो रहेछ। चाहिँ प्रत्यक्ष नै थाहा भयो र बेनिफिसियरीसँग काम गर्दाखेरि अवश्य पनि हाम्रो चाहिँ त्यस्तै खालको कार्यक्रम भएर चाहिँ स्पेसल काउन्सिलर र साइकोलोजिस्टहरूसँगै भेट्छौँ हामी टेक्निकल सुपरभिजनको पार्टमा र काउन्सिलरलाई पनि हिलिङ गर्नलाई हैन हामीले एसिस्ट गर्न सक्छौँ र त्यही कुरा चाहिँ उनीहरूले सर्भाइभरसँग काम गर्दाखेरि युजफुल पनि हुन्छ भन्ने विश्वास छ।
This training is very helpful, not only for beneficiaries, it works for me also as a psychosocial counselor, for counselor also, how to self-care and how to aware of your own body, of your sensation and experience about your past and the present, and how that about the reaction, the sensation of the body. And I think I would apply this training, this technique to my beneficiaries. They have such a physical abuse. I think they cannot explore it, and from this they can explore it. So most of the beneficiaries used to cry, and now I got that chance that okay, if you want to cry, just cry, then see what is happening in the body. The resources I got from this training and feel wow, this training is really helpful for counselor, for me.
And it's really helpful for like not to get the secondary trauma from the client, because I also worked with other client and I get in that trauma and I stop working with them, with the trauma survivors for sometimes. I think I find this tool, the somatic experiencing, is one good tools that to save ourselves as well and to take care of ourselves.